What if I could show you that 500,000 that you've used in real estate, that you would have used anyway,
Yeah.
when ran through your own bank, would have made you $1 million to $1.5 million guaranteed, and you can't lose it, and it's tax-free. Would you be interested in learning how to do that?
Hello. This is Jesse Mills, and welcome to the Creative Cash Flow Show, where we talk about real estate secrets for achieving time and money freedom. And folks, oh my goodness, am I so pumped today to have two of the best guys I know that can talk about lifestyle freedom, right? Which is going where you want, when you want, right? Maybe we're still working, maybe we're still doing things, but it's freedom, okay? So lifestyle freedom, time freedom, and money freedom. And I have with me two good friends of mine, Dan and Eric with Freedom Strategy Group. Guys, thanks so much for being here today.
Great to be here. Thank you, Jesse.
I am super pumped. You know, I've been wondering, because there's so much to do. There's so much to get into. There's a lot to go down. But, you know, I think with everything that's going on right now in the economy and the market, with inflation at all-time highs, with, you know, interest rates skyrocketing up, with people needing liquidity and leverage and banking and money, right? I mean, people are concerned about their money and their future, both, you know, short-term and long-term. And what you guys do needs to be in front of everybody that I know who wants to get to a better financial place. And I think it's important that people understand that probably what they're doing, what they know, it's not enough, right? And they need to be thinking differently and doing different things, right? Because what happens if you do the same thing over and over? You just get what you already got, right?
Right.
And you guys know this. So that's definition of insanity. So tell us a little bit about your background, Dan, Eric. Tell us what you've been doing here the last, 10, 20 years, and what got you into the Freedom Strategy Group. What is the Freedom Strategy Group, and how are you helping people?
Hey, thanks, Jesse. Eric, if you don't mind, I'm gonna roll first. But Jesse, thank you so much for that introduction. And I'm not going to tell you anything about me before I tell you what I really believe you need to hear. Your listeners, if they want to grow their wealth, if they want to accumulate, and if they want to protect their wealth, they're going to have to learn and think differently about money. And our message is about teaching money. We are not financial advisors. Eric and I are wealth strategists, and I'm going to love to divulge into that definition down the road a bit. But the thing is that we have found that people who are in business and are in real estate are the people that are successful in growing wealth. We very rarely find people making their money in the investment and stock market, which most of the financial advisors take people to. So long ago, I learned that if you want to be successful, you want to be in control of your wealth, you've got to learn business. And this is one of the things, Jesse, knowing what you teach, knowing what you coach about real estate, it is not just about buying another property. It's about learning how do you run a system and how do you make your money work through the leveraging and through the appreciation and the enjoyment of real estate. So you've got a wonderful platform. Our two platforms merge really wonderfully. So I'm going to talk to your listeners about that. So with that said, very quick introduction of myself. My name is Dan. I've been in the financial business for 27 years. My entrepreneurial started 44 years ago. That ages me. Yes, I'm 58 years old now. And at the time of this recording, I can't believe it. I'm almost 2 years to 60. That's not fair.
Can't believe that either.
So as things go, I learned from my father early on a farm out in western Minnesota how to work. My father was an entrepreneur and an inventor, and he invented a grain test weight scale that he sold all over the world. I was so proud of my dad going to Dale Carnegie classes. He handed me my first 12 cassette series of How to Stay Motivated by Zig Ziglar, and he made me listen to them as a teenager. And I'm telling you,
that's awesome.
If you could do that for every teenager, to how to stay motivated and learn that as a young, influential teen, it will change your life. It changed mine. So on from my dad, learning hard work, learning entrepreneurialism, learning how to see and grow a business. I also had the privilege of my grandfather in that same hometown being the president of the bank. And I was always interested in money and how it worked. And all I ever wanted to do, Jesse, was be a farmer. So I need to make this story short. But in this pursuit of being a farmer, it was in the late 70s and early 80s. And interest rates were at 18% to try to make your business operate. Now, folks, you know what it is today. I mean, people are whining and crying when they're trying to get 6 and 8%, money on business loans. And it's like, guys, 18% was serious. And all of the farmers my age were going out of business.
Wow.
None of them were being able to hold on to the farms. They were being kicked off the farms. So I learned early on 2 successful lessons on how not to make it work in farming. Thank God, with 8 careers, 8 businesses, 27 years later, I have learned an awful lot about finance, and I began teaching people actually 18 years ago what I'm doing today. So in this short period of time, this last 18 years, we've developed 300 clients, over 17 states, and it's a small company. We do this one-on-one boutique. We coach people how to do this. And those 300 families that we've helped, we have put, this is such a crazy number, we have put $1 billion of tax sheltered wealth together for the families that they cannot outlive.
Wow.
And so when we're looking at helping people, I am wowed at that. I'm so excited.
That's huge.
That we've been able to do this. It changes the lives of families, not for this generation, but for the generations to come. So sorry that I went a little long on my intro, but I'm
that's
trying
amazing.
to impress the importance of learning some financial concepts that you didn't learn in high school, that
Absolutely.
you don't learn in college. You need to think and learn differently. So anyway,
wow.
With that, Jesse, I want to hand the baton over back to you, please.
That is a crazy, crazy number. That is insane. And that's one of the things I think is so different about you guys is you're really like me. You're in the education business. You're in the helping business. And I think it's upon everyone to try to learn as much as you can. I've never loved to learn so much as I did until after college, right? Keep in mind, I'm a college dropout. So I didn't even get my degree. I dropped out, but look at all these books, right? I love to read. I love to listen. I love to learn, especially things that I can take and I can implement. And so you guys are in that business of helping, teaching, coaching, and showing of what people are doing differently. And that's a thing, right? If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, if you want to do what everyone else does, you're going to be like everyone else. And if that's your goals, hey, I'm not here to tell you what your goals should be. That's you. But if you don't want to be like everyone else, if you want to be in that kind of rare breed of folks who you say, how the heck do they have that? How did they get to that place in life? How do they get to do this stuff? They didn't do what everyone else does. And so, Dan, what you've been doing, and Eric, and together, how you guys are helping your 300 plus clients do that is, and very one-on-one and very hand-holding approach with it is awesome. So I love that.
Thank you, Jesse. I have to make a comment. When I hear the 300 client thing, when I hear that, I go, how tiny is this company? How tiny, how small? And folks, you don't need to have 1,000. You don't need to have 10,000. You don't need to have 100,000 clients. You don't. You need to have a few good people who believe in what you do and help you along the way. And that's what we found. It's an amazing blessing to have helped. Literally, we've helped thousands of people in our business lifetime. But the few hundred clients that we work with on a one-on-one basis today, we are changing the lives of those people forever. And we're looking for that opportunity to continue on and on and on. Eric, could you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So I'm Eric Schmoll, wealth strategist with Freedom Strategy Group. I also grew up on a farm. I was down in Claremont, Minnesota. That's about 20 miles west of Rochester. Then traveled to Duluth, went to UMD for college. That's where I met my wife, Cassie. We have been married for 16 years now. We have 2 daughters. Ella's 14, Ava is 11. I graduated from there with my business degree from UMD and then started working within property management, helping manage a 400-unit apartment complex in the metro area of the Twin Cities. And about 2 years into that business, I had a life-changing moment happen to me that changed my path. In beginning of 2007, I was diagnosed with cancer. And on April 1st, 2007, I had surgery for testicular cancer. At this point, we had only been married for just over 6 months when I found this out. And by the God's blessing, we were actually able to have daughters where we weren't sure what was going to happen with this situation of just being a young married couple and wanting to have that planning happen in the future. So it was so eye-opening that I decided I need to have a change in business and really understand that how was I going to protect my family and that legacy planning. So I jumped into business. I started working with Wells Fargo business sales, was in some senior planning market in St. Cloud, then was doing personal banking in Cambridge, Minnesota, was asked to join a mortgage team. Shortly after that, that's kind of going back 8 years ago is when I first met Jesse. And it was through some of those same connections on different mortgage lenders that we were working with. Was still reading, trying to pick up every piece of knowledge I could on how different things worked within the financial sector. That's when I met Dan. He was a featured speaker at a business seminar I was attending. And through our conversations, he was sharing a story that was this message I was learning about in a book at that same time. I was reading What Would the Rockefellers Do? And it was talking about generational wealth and family planning. So Cassie and I ended up coming on as clients first. And then it was just perfect timing. Dan was expanding out to our current office location is right now. So I joined him as a wealth strategist. And now it's been over 5 years that we've been working together to help families. And it's been amazing. Our small team of 3 or 4, as Dan said, he's been helping over 300 clients now. And we're looking to just continue to share the message and keep growing from there.
Wow, man, that is. So you both have a really varied career. Funny theme. I think I've thought of this in the past, but the farming theme, right? The farming theme. That's why you guys are such damn hard workers. That's why you got
right.
good work ethic, right? And integrity, because you're farmers and you have that in your bloodstream, right? And
Yeah, we know how to work. And I love the whole thing about it's not never just about money when you're on a farm. It's about trying to have a lifestyle and trying to live the life that you want. And it's that entrepreneurialism that is just born into people that learn how to work. So really fun. Eric brought up a lot of history about the different things. And I'm telling you, when he and Cassie became clients of ours, it was one of the best things. And I always give glory to God. It's one of the best things that God has ever brought into my life is to meet Eric and Cassie at that time. And, you think of coincidences, things just happen. And I just believe that there's a whole lot of things that happen because it's supposed to happen. All right. And we met at a time that I was needing, I was really needing to grow beyond my one-on-ones with people. And since Eric came on and these years later, Eric is really the trusted advisor that clients need, that they can come to him and say, hey, Eric, what about this? Hey, Eric, what about that? And they're going to get the truth. And sometimes the truth hurts. All right. So sometimes the truth is right in your face, and you need to be able to accept that you're doing some things that aren't quite right. And, I've asked this question to so many people along the way, but if what you thought to be true about 401ks, or if what you thought to be true about IRAs, or if what you thought to be true about investments or the stock market or future taxation or Social Security, if what you thought to be true turned out not to be true, when would you want to learn it?
Wow, that's a powerful question. I would say yesterday, like as soon as I can.
If we don't get a now,
yeah,
then we have to go next.
Yeah,
because people need to be ready to change, and the truth is, as wealth strategists, we don't compete with our clients. And this is a sad fact. I was a financial advisor for 17 years. I've had all the licenses. I've had hundreds of millions of dollars of client capital that I personally invested.
Wow.
All what I learned through those years is that we didn't take any risk. The client took all the risk, and they weren't in control of the money. And I heard over and over and over from these traditional planners that you need to keep your money in the stock market long range. You need to keep it in long term. You need to shelter your money through IRAs, 401ks. And this is the song that I was hearing as the traditional message. And when I say
why do you think that is?
It's because the financial institutions, I asked this question back. What do you all think? Do you think that the financial institutions at the financial planning organizations, they want to keep your money for a long time or a little time?
As long as they can.
Yeah, well, a long time. And once they have your money, how long do they want to give it back? How long of a time do they want to lend it back out to you or get it back out to you in the withdrawals? The answer is a long, long time.
A long time,
You know,
absolutely.
so who's in control of that money all the way through? Now, I'm going to pick on something that I'm just going to say 95% of the people are doing this wrong. Okay. So
Wow.
I'm just going to say it. Most people that are listening today, their friends, their family, they're putting money in tax me later plans. And a tax me later plan is an IRA, a 401k, a 403b, any plan that says you didn't pay tax on it today, but you're going to pay tax on it tomorrow. And this is a farming example. Think about this. Would you rather pay tax on the seed, or would you rather pay tax on the harvest?
Oof, wow. When you say it like that, yeah, I mean, seed, obviously. A tiny amount right now, get it done with.
Okay, so let's just import a little common sense here. If you'd rather be taxed on the seed and not taxed on the harvest, is there a way that you could structure your money so that you're not kicking that tax plan down the road? You see, you've got to think differently. And I just said 95% of the people are putting their money into these type of plans. And I'm going to call it another thing. When you do that, you have stuck your money in economic jail. You've got your money locked away until you're age 59 and a half. Okay. You can get it for maybe 5 reasons. And those 5 reasons have rules. And I'm saying, who makes the rules?
Not us.
I got another question.
Not the people playing the game.
Who control of your money? You or the government? So we have this theme of luck. LUCK. It's an acronym for liquidity, use, control, and knowledge. You've got to have these 4 things in order to make your money grow. And are all IRAs, 401ks, 403bs bad? No. But listen, if you want to be in control of your money and you want your money creating creative cash flow, you have to be able to control that wealth and put it in investments that you know, you understand, and actually that you're jazzed about. Who in the world wakes up in the morning and say, man, I'm so jazzed about my mutual fund? I mean, seriously,
not
nobody
many
does.
people,
No.
but I want them on the show. If they're listening.
And this is where I love to give a firsthand testimonial of when
Yeah.
a lot of people say, well, what else can we do? Or how do we do? That's what we teach in our Freedom Reserve system. And I've used it firsthand with some of the related things with doing a slow flip with Jesse, then taking it within the next 2 to 3 years, turning around and getting my first short-term rental. And how were Cassie and I able to do that? It was by using our system, by having access to our money and to be able to use it in a way that was beneficial to us. And we continue to create new cash flow sources. So that was a perfect way for us to use what we're teaching our clients, and firsthand have done it multiple times with the exact processes that you use, Jesse.
Yeah, no, it's such a great call, man. And yeah, and I love that. And it's funny because sometimes I don't think about it sequentially like that, but that's exactly what you've done. And you had access to your funds for when you needed it, and you got to have your money making money quicker and with something that you're passionate about, something that you know about, right? I mean, let's be honest. Who reads their, financial literature that they get? Their, well, here's what's happening with your account in the last year. Nobody, right? And they just ask their advisor, hey, is it good or bad? And they just listen to what, Squawk on the Street is saying. Nobody knows, and they want to pass that on to someone else to take care of them because it's easy, right? It's easy. But again, easy doesn't get you what you want, which is greatness. And to be able to have greatness, you need to be able to, you got to understand what you're doing. And, Dan, I think you said it really well. I mean, who's creating the rules out there, right? I mean, any game you're playing, what's the first thing you should know is what are the rules of the game? How do I win? Right?
And so how does this apply to the listener? And again, when we're speaking to a group like yours, Jesse, they're already the right group. They're the people who want to learn.
Absolutely.
They're willing to pay for coaching. They're understanding there's nothing free. You have to learn. And for people that this is so easy, and I've said it, so I'm going to repeat it again, but what did you learn in high school about money? What did you learn in college about money? I mean, we've got brilliant people. They are specialists in their expertise. The thing that they're great at, but they don't have the financial knowledge that they need to really grow their wealth. And this is why when we come alongside our clients, it is about education. Eric gave a testimony and an example of himself about how he used money through his real estate. We just met last week with my CPA, who's been our client now for 11 years. So I met him 13 years ago. After hearing the story for 2 years, he became a client of Freedom Strategy Group. And we went through 7 instances of where he's used money that we've shown him to not put in economic jail, but to put into an account that he had access to. And he's used it 7 different times in his last 11 years to buy a business, to buy real estate, to work his business cash flow. And then just recently to purchase a home with cash. And he did that for his family by learning internal family financing. I'm telling you, what if there was a way that you could make your money work for you, and then your money would grow wealth for your family rather than you giving it away to the bankers and to the financial institutions? What if there was a way? So I want to give just one example.
Yeah.
Every person that's listening today, you're going to run money through somebody's bank. You're going to. In fact, you run not only tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, but there's a few of you out there that are going to be running millions of dollars through somebody else's bank, whether it's US Bank, Chase Bank, Wells Fargo, all that, right? You're going to run it through somebody else's bank.
Every day, every month, every year, money's in, money's out. It's someone else's, but it's changing hands over and over and over.
Yeah. What if we could teach you? What if you could learn how to run money through your own bank and then learn some banking principles that every time you used money, not only would your investment that you put your money into make you money because you're running a good business, you're learning the things that Jesse's teaching. What if you could learn to make money on your money? And this is such a big concept. I want to touch on the mistakes that I see people make all the time, especially people in real estate. There's things that people need to learn about making their money make money and not just giving their money away for free. So before I go down that segment, you have any thoughts on that, Jesse?
So what I'm hearing, and obviously I know a bit more here than the average listener listening to this, I think. But here's the thing, guys. If you're trying to go, okay, I know that I'm not probably doing what I should be doing right now, and there's a different way, and there's a better way, and I'm doing what the masses are doing, which is maybe why I'm in the position of the masses. I'm trying to get out of there. So I'm hearing a couple of very different things from you. I'm hearing from you, number one, why would we want to go get taxed later down the road, right, on the harvest of all this money versus right now on the seed? How do we get around that? Which again is kind of contrary to normal thinking, because everyone else says do it right now, and these are the things you have to do. So it's different, it's backwards, but it makes sense, right? It seems to make sense. So I'm hearing that, and then I'm hearing I got to put my money in a bank anyways. So if I could have my own bank and I could be in control of my bank and I could be making money on my money, that seems to me to be a lot smarter than just handing it over and getting whacked with taxes and not even knowing what's going to happen down the road at a much higher level potentially. Am I catching so far what you're saying?
You're tracking perfectly. And the segue to this conversation is really down this path of, we've been talking about banking. And I've preached for years and years that if you're going to be successful in business, you're going to need to learn banking. You're going to need to learn money. So I'm going to give you a little story. Back here in 2004 is the first time that I read a book called Becoming Your Own Banker by Nelson Nash. All right. So that book
Great book.
opened my eyes to something that I had actually thought wrong. I had thought incorrectly about all my prior years. So it was an epiphany when I was 40. I was 42 years old, and I was like, how come I never heard this before?
And you've
What-
already had decades of experience, hundreds of millions of dollars of clients' money. And this, so it's not like you're, just graduating college and you're still fresh and green. You've been
Right.
doing the thing for a long time. And then you thought to yourself, holy cow, this is totally different from what I know and what I've been doing.
Yeah.
Why am I just hearing it?
Yeah. So I have compassion for people that truly are going, I don't get it. Why haven't I heard this?
Mhm.
And for those of you that have heard of what I just mentioned, there's some real truths that are being mistold, and it's unfortunate. How do I talk to this listener and have them understand that not every financial piece of advice is correct? There's a lot of misinformation out there.
There is.
And I feel for people that they're trying to do the right thing. They're doing the best they have with the knowledge that they have today.
Mhm.
And yet there's things that are taught in the industry that are not good for people. And unless you learn it properly, and unless you learn it correctly, you'll end up trying to do the right thing and getting the wrong result. And it is so incredibly important to me. And this is why we spend so much time teaching and trying to get people to understand that you have to learn why things are done so that you know how to avoid the dangers. And
Yeah.
if you can learn to avoid those dangers and it makes sense to you, then you won't need for somebody to start you out with the basics again. You have to build on your knowledge. So yes, Jesse, I came in with a lot of knowledge. I knew a lot about finance. I knew a lot of things that are actually good and true about investing.
Mhm.
But I also learned something new, and I didn't realize it until I read that book. So that book was a life changer for me. I've read many, many books since then. And I want to give an example so that people hear about banking. So if you were going to run $50,000 a year through your bank and you did that for 10 years, I'm going to do math with you now, so be careful,
Mhm.
right? So that means you had $500,000 run through that Wells Fargo, that Chase, that US bank, right? You had
Mhm.
$500,000 run through that bank. And if you did this, how normal people do, as you made profits, as you made money, you'd take some of that money each year and you would try to put as little of your money down to secure as much of a real estate asset as possible. And that's what you would do. You'd be putting a little of your money down. And if you figured out how to do it with no money down, Jesse, you've been so creative in teaching people even how to do that.
Mhm.
But in some and in many circumstances, you have to have a little skin in the game.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
so if your skin in the game is your seed money,
Mhm.
what people have done wrong is that they've just given that seed money to their real estate entity. They said, okay, if I'm going to secure a $500,000 property and I need 10% down, here's 50,000, right?
Mhm.
And they plop that $50,000 down. And then they're financing 450 with other people's money.
Mhm. Mhm.
And what we go back to is that you need that 50,000 seed money to actually have the highest return that investment pays. That should be your highest return money because it's the last in line to get paid out.
Mhm. Yeah, that's
Your
true.
money is the last in line. It's the most at risk. And if you had money that was last in line at the most at risk, and if you were lending money to somebody that put you last in line, that put your money most at risk, would you want to charge them a low rate of interest or would you want to charge them a high rate of interest?
High rate.
Exactly. You'd want your money earning a lot of money, right?
Mhm.
You'd want a
Mhm.
high rate of return. This is the same mentality that you should have. You shouldn't give that property in an LLC your money for free. Money has value no matter what you do with it.
It has to come from somewhere, right?
Yes. And if
Yeah.
you have your money, your hard-earned money, you paid tax on this money, you grunted it out, you saved it, you tried to keep the tax man away from it, and you finally have some money. And then you put it into a piece of real estate, that piece of real estate better pay you a high return on your money. So we teach everybody, if you ran this $500,000, this $50,000 a year for 10 years through somebody else's bank, what if you'd learn to do that through your own bank? And every time you used your money for an investment, you demanded a high rate, a high return on that money. And if you did this through your own bank, that seems pretty easy, doesn't it? You would just have your business paying for the use of your money. Guess what you've done when you've done that? You put value on your money, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is your business getting a tax deduction when it writes you a check for the use of your money?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
and
it is.
you still not own 100% of the property with that little piece of money that you put in.
Still do. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got the appreciation on the whole, right? We've just taught you a new way to make money on your money and create a tax deduction. And if you did what I've just told you, the $500,000 you've done over 10 years, and again, $50,000 a year you're doing for 10 years, you put $500,000 to it. What if I could show you that $500,000 that you've used in real estate that you would have used anyway, when ran through your own bank, would have made you $1 million to $1.5 million guaranteed, and you can't lose it, and it's tax free? Would you be interested in learning how to do that?
Yes, please sign me up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Be a moron to not want to know how that works.
Yeah. So maybe that was the punchline, and I couldn't help myself, but I ranted and rambled. So I'm going to pause and take a breath.
No, that's incredible. And that's the thing. It's just, people just do what they do. They do what they do. Why? Because that's what their family tells them, because that's what their friends tell them, because that's what they've done. So they always do the same thing because that's what they've done. And I know we're all guilty of it. We've all done that. We've all had that point in our life where we're guilty too. But you got to stop and say, is what I'm doing, does it make sense? Is it the best thing out there? Is it the smartest thing? And is there intelligence behind why I'm doing what I'm doing, right? And so what you just said is something completely different, but your money has to come from somewhere, right? Your money has to come from somewhere, and especially when it's after-tax dollars that you had to work and hustle for to get those dollars, then pay the IRS and pay the tax man and pay everything that we got to pay. And then what's left over is your money. So why should that be the least, like the least, rewarding, right? You're absolutely right. That's totally. And Eric, I think you've, again, done that too with your real estate purchases and seeing from your bank and from your account that, like, this is a far smarter usage of my money doing it this way.
Right. It reminds me of the business professionals out there that say, make sure they preach pay yourself first, or don't forget to pay yourself. Well, this is another add-on to that of your money has value, and don't just give it away, because you're giving away those hardest earned dollars, those most valuable dollars that can be working for you and creating it's really endless opportunity. As much as you can imagine or envision, you can have it create endless streams for you.
Absolutely. Well, and so another concept, obviously you guys you're touching on, but I don't know if you're just calling it right out. I'm going to call it right out, right? It's not what you make, it's what you keep. It's what you keep. And so what is the number one expense that any human, or at least American will say, but probably human, has? What's the number one expense? Taxes, right?
Yep.
So it's something everybody has to deal with. Everybody, one way or another, it's coming for you. And so you work your tail off to make this extra income, but people just kind of just let go on the wayside of anything to save the money they've already got, right? Let alone take that money that they've already had to pay for, and how to, get that velocity of money really working for you. So what do you guys see right now with what your clients are doing and what you're teaching that is so different? And I know you've been doing this years enough now to not just talk about, it's not theory. You can see it. You said you've created $1 billion of value and sheltered for families, which again, I think is amazing. Not even just for their their family right now and today, but for the next generation.
Eric, if you don't mind, I'd love to answer this
Sure.
first, and then please jump in as you will. As I was hearing your feedback, Jesse, I keep wondering who's listening. Who am I talking with right now? Who's hearing this message? And some people on this, so forgive me if this isn't you, but some people on this podcast, they're trying to figure out how to scrape together $5,000 a year. They're trying to figure it out. And I just threw a number of 50 at 50,000 a year. And for some people, that was a complete disconnect. It's like, well, I guess this isn't for me. And the deal is that whether you're starting at $5,000 a year or you are running $50,000 a year, the reality is you're going to run money through other people's banks. And
Correct.
for some people listening, you guys are running millions of dollars per year through your banks. And it works the same way, just bigger. So whether you have $5,000 a year, $50,000 a year, or seriously $500,000 a year to build a multi-million-dollar generational wealth and a system that you use money multiple times, the velocity of money is learning how to use the same dollar over and over and over again. And if you can learn to do that, as Jesse's already brought up, and avoid the number one enemy to you building wealth, the number one enemy, it's taxation. And if you think taxation is bad now, I wish I could have a voice on where I'm hearing other people back. But if you believe taxes are going to be lower in your future, then keep putting your money away in your 401ks and your IRAs and your 403bs. If you think money is going to be less taxed in your future. But if you believe you're going to be financially successful, and if you believe that you're going to create not only hundreds of thousands, but millions of dollars of wealth, and you're going to store it in real estate that you own, control, and that you enjoy, you are going to need to learn how to build your money in a tax shelter that not only are you going to enjoy in your lifetime, but you're going to learn how to pass this to the next generation without it being confiscated. There is so much to learn in this field. And I'm telling you, this is the biggie. You're not taking a dime with you. There is not one of us that is going to leave this earth with any of this stuff.
Right.
And by the way, there's a whole lot more important than the stuff I'm talking about. But what I'm talking about money, it is important. While we're here, when we're gone, we need to have the next generation learn what you've learned. Your kids aren't going to get this in high school. Your kids aren't going to get this in college. You need to take responsibility for yourself, and then you need to take responsibility for your family. Love to help you.
I love that. Yeah.
I would just add on to that and say that's the biggest piece that I hit a focus on is that legacy generational family wealth and that family planning. And I had a lot of focus of that, of helping bring in our clients after we have them set up and going right. Is important to bring on their kids and have them learn how to do planning with their children. I teach Ella and Ava, and we do family planning meetings every month where we're going through and we're talking about how is their Freedom Reserve banks. We do kid banks for them. And then what can they do with it? And how are they looking at opportunities in their future? So you get them thinking at a young age. It's a lot easier to work with them then than trying to fix bad habits later on.
I love that, dude. I love that so much. So your kids have their own banks now. They're already bankers.
Absolutely.
And they're how old again?
14 and 11.
Yeah. 14 and 11. Right. So you just push a double digits. You're not even driving yet. And your kids are bankers and they're learning to make these educated decisions right now, which I mean, Dad, like you said, I mean, you were barely cracking 40 when you figured this out.
Right.
After being in the business, for God's sake. It's not like you were, selling cars or a dentist or ran a pizza business. I mean, you were in the business and you didn't know this. So yeah, again, number one, if you're going, okay, this sounds a little different. It is. If it sounds a little, I've never heard this before, or I've got some questions. Yeah, good. You should be having those thoughts because again, we're talking to, people who have already been in the financial world and this is still not mainstream, right? Guys, you always got to question when things are mainstream, why are they mainstream?
Yeah.
Okay. We have never been at a time in my opinion, and you guys chime in, I think you're going to agree with me, but we've never been at a time where there's so much influence and power and I won't say the word manipulation, but maybe to get people to think how they want them to think, dress how they want them to dress, act how they want them to act, be this, go into a little funnel and all spit out the same. And it's a crazy time, and it's so easy because there's so much coming at you, ding, 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 to get in there. And so you got to question this stuff. Right?
So Jesse, you drive me crazy by coming in with stuff like that, because if you got to talk about how things are today, remember my beginning story about how things were when it was 18% interest?
Right. Yeah. 18%.
There have been times in history that have been really, really tough. And ladies and gentlemen, there are going to be times in our future that are going to be really, really tough. And you need to find ways to protect your wealth by keeping it private. We teach private banking. So I've given you guys the book I read 18 years ago, so the Becoming Your Own Banker by Nelson Nash. I believe everybody should read that book to get the concept. We've created the Freedom Reserve System. The Freedom Reserve System is a play on words, Jesse. It's kind of where you were going with this. You all heard of the Federal Reserve System, right?
Yeah, that's the government protecting us, right?
Yeah. So the Federal Reserve System is a private bank that our government does business with. All right. It's a private bank.
It's not the government?
No, it's not the government. The Federal Reserve System is no more government than Federal Express Trucking is a federal government shipping outfit. Okay. So Federal Express is not a government truck running up and down the road. That's just a name. It's federal.
Just a name that sounds good.
Yeah. So in this little piece, guys, I just want to give this. You can look up the Federal Reserve and you'll find all kinds of stuff about it. But the Federal Reserve System is a debt-based system. Currently at this recording, we're about $30 trillion of federal debt. And the only way the government is ever going to balance their budget is to either spend less money or they're going to tax people more. They're going to spend less money or they're going to tax people more. That debt-based system is going to require more taxation coming from you and I. It's going to. So we have a play on words. Instead of the Federal Reserve System, we've created the Freedom Reserve System. The Freedom Reserve System is an asset-based system where you're the banker, not the government, not the government officials, not government officials that hire government pawns. We are talking about you becoming your own banker. And if you want to learn it right, for those of you that have already heard the concept, say, yeah, I got that. I would say you owe it to yourself for a second look. Absolutely. You owe it to yourself for a second look to see, do you really have it right? And we're willing and wanting, and as time is clicking here, we're willing and wanting to help any one of your listeners, Jesse. And if they would want, we would find a way to give them, we've created 150 recordings on this subject. And we would find a way to give them some core education so that they can begin learning this. And obviously, our hope is that people will change the life that they're having today, have access to money, and be able to live the life that they want in the future. And we're so thankful for you, Jesse, and what you've done in teaching people about real estate and coaching them in the way that you have. I've listened to many of your recordings, and I'm just telling you, you really talk from the heart, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. I really appreciate that so much. Well, I mean, we're at this point, guys, in our careers where we've been blessed to have amazing friends, colleagues, mentors, partners, clients, and to take things that you learn and just share, right? You're being absolutely selfish if you're not sharing that knowledge with people. And we all want to help each other better up. And, now if someone has all the information in front of them and they're just not doing anything with it, that's more of a motivation thing, right? But I think everybody should have the opportunity to have that information, right? And that's why I was so passionate about getting this podcast going and this YouTube channel to show people that, hey, this is free, right? This is as much information as you want to get out there. But take it upon yourself, right? For you and again, for your family. It goes back to the farming thing, right? Farming is never about one person, is it? And I've never been a farmer. Anyone who knows me is laughing. Definitely never been a farmer. Look at these hands. They're not farming hands. But I do know it's about the farm. It's about the whole family. It's about the next generation, right? And obviously anyone can see and hear from you guys that you have that ingrained in you. And you take that with you to say, hey, we're not just talking about today. We're not talking about the next 5-10 years. We're talking about your kids, your kids' kids. And somebody has to step up and maybe change that path in the family tree or keep it going, right? If you've had someone lucky enough to do that before you. So I think this is phenomenal information. I can guarantee you guys that of all the things that you're doing financially, this is a game changer. Okay, this is an absolute game changer. It's not an extra couple cents on the dollar. This is tremendously important and will literally change your financial future by learning about it, by implementing it, and by saying, hey, I need some people to teach me because I don't know everything I need to know. And you guys are literally two of the best that I know. So I appreciate you sharing with everyone. Dan, Eric, where can our listeners here and viewers contact you? Where can we contact you? Where can we find out more about Freedom Strategy Group?
Yep. So we have our best way to reach out to us is email or phone number. Our email is teamfsg@freedomstrategygroup.com. Phone number is 763-421-9456. And we have our Freedom Strategy Group website, and that's freedomstrategygroup.com.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
Thank you.
Dan, Eric, thank you so much, guys. Anything else that someone's got to know right before we go?
Yeah, about 2 more hours worth of stuff, but
I know how we do. How we do. Now, guys,
Good
thank you
stuff.
so much. Thank you so much. This was fun. And there's so much more we could dive into. So if you're watching, if you're listening, if you've got thoughts, if you've got questions, if you want to know more about something, maybe you're one of those like, hey, I know what you guys are talking about, and maybe you're already doing it, right? Tell us about it. How has it been changing your life? How is it helping you? Like Eric said, multiple pieces of real estate, investment properties, right? Airbnbs, cash flowing cabins that I like to talk about, right? Other people paying down your vacation properties for you because of this, choosing to learn it, then implement it, and then take advantage of it has led to that. So super, super powerful. So would love to hear from you. And again, as always, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening and appreciate it. Thank you, guys.